All right, everybody, it's 420. You know what that means. It's National High Time. Time to get your smoking utensils out and spark up.
You are now
Tuned in to the
420
collaboration
podcast.
Thanks for joining us on the weekly grind. And today we have Terry and Zeno. And obviously Zeno joins us and gives us a hello, please.
Yo, yo, how we doing out there?
And Terry.
Hey there.
Awesome. All right. And so I wanted to welcome this guest, and we're going to start it off with a what you do kind of situation. So we definitely understand on the cannabis side that we brought you onto the show for a reason, but we want to hit something a little more important, and that's addiction. You know, and addiction is a big issue that we face as human beings. And Terry over here generously devotes her life to helping some people out. And Terry, please take it away from here with what you do to help out.
Hi. So I'm a nurse in recovery, and I work for crisis services. And through that, it was actually shortly after that I started in this position. I started doing yoga, and I had just recently started smoking. And through over the past 7 years, I've been able to see how trauma, cannabis, and yoga can marry. How they blend so perfectly.
Interesting.
Yes.
And so it's my job to take people who have, for example, some level of trauma, PTSD, and it's my job to take them into a place, to elevate them with cannabis, and then during that state, give them an opportunity to get into their bodies.
Interesting. Okay,
Yes,
so like, let's if you could walk me through a scenario. Let's say I'm your patient. Me personally, I am a PTSD patient. I have severe anxiety, and I am constantly on watch. You know, I'm constantly looking over my shoulder, making sure I'm watching my sex, making sure I'm checking areas, I'm making sure that I and my family am always safe. I want to find a fix to that, and I have already understood that cannabis could help. So how could you help me? Could we set up like a one-on-one?
Mm-hmm. So what would happen is we would sit down, and you and I would meet just like this, and we would first start by talking about your experience, your level of experience. Like, you're coming at me with someone who's experienced with cannabis. You might be someone that says, well, shit, I smoked when I was like 13, and then I got all paranoid and I never smoked again.
Right.
Or I smoked all when I was in high school. I was a big stoner, and then I didn't smoke when I was an adult, because I grew out of it.
I hear that a
So
lot.
do you know what I mean? So you
You guys
hear,
say that a lot, all you
yeah,
listeners.
yeah,
Haters.
and so we would talk about, like, what's your level, what's your
Yeah.
experience with it,
Okay.
That's
and
great.
we would literally start from there, and then we would talk about, what are you looking to achieve, right? Because I'm not going to say, hey, well, you should go smoke a joint then. That's not
Right.
telling you much. What are you looking to achieve? Are you looking to chill that mind out because you're a hyper focused and on
Right.
hyper alert, and your nervous system is like strung out, right? So you don't need a sativa.
I want to chill out. I want to enjoy what's going on around me.
Right, you need
Because
something to attack to those CB2 receptors. You need those neurotransmitters to slow down.
so this is beautiful. Let's take a slow down real quick in what we're
Yeah.
talking about, right? So you just approached something that I don't think I have ever heard any individual approach besides
Me neither.
maybe 5 people. But can you rewind a little bit and explain what you just said about hitting some receptors and what you're meaning by that?
So we have our bodies have a natural um, cannabinoid system. And so we have their CB1 and CB2 receptors. So the THC and the CBD go to different receptors. And these bodies were making, our body is making that protein.
Okay.
And when we're smoking, it's enhancing that protein. And so the reason that we're feeling blissful is because it's naturally binding.
Interesting.
It's binding to our body, to our natural body. So we already have the endocannabinoid system going in our body, right?
So
and then we smoke. We're already we have it.
We come in
right.
stock with it.
We come in stock with it, and our body automatically makes that protein. When we smoke, it goes to that receptor and triggers to make that protein. So when we're smoking, we're enhancing what our body's already doing. We're just saying, hey, we need to give us more. So we want that bliss feeling, right? We want that bliss feeling. And when we smoke, why are we feeling bliss? Because it's going to that receptor.
Well, that makes sense. That makes complete sense. So you,
right?
So when we're regarding me, we'd focus on a CB2 is what you said. And why would we focus on a CB2?
We would with you, I would want to go with both. I would want to hit both of those personally. Because we want, although we want to slow your fight or flight down, we still want to keep you on a level playing field. Does that make sense? We don't want you, and because we don't want to get you in your own head.
We don't want to turn him into a kitten. You know what I mean?
We don't want to turn you into a kitten. So now we've talked about the cannabis, right? So now we've talked about, we sat down, we said, this is your best route, this is your best dose, here's where we're at. Then we regroup and we sit down, and then we start to move our bodies. Because what happens when we get stoned, right?
Get lazy.
We're able to get a little elevated, and things do happen. We do get less inhibited. Different parts of our brain opens up. That's all true. So now I take someone with PTSD, I sit you down, I take movement, we're making movement, I do it under the trauma scope. What happens with people in trauma? We see the obvious, but then we start to see things that happen in trauma. In our brain, gray matter, it decreases the gray matter. So we see people with trauma making really rash decisions and being super impulsive and very argumentative, and their husbands or wives or friends are like, you're so fucking, you'll come at me. Why do you come at me? There's certain things. And no matter how many times you sit with yourself and go, I'm not going to respond that way, it's in your body. It's in your body. Your brain doesn't even know it. So now I sit down with you.
Working on that.
I elevate you. We get stoned. Then we do some yoga under a trauma scope. Right. So this trauma is just, it's given in a different format than any other type of yoga, just like cannabis, just like Ganja Yoga is given to you. So what's Ganja Yoga? Is cannabis enhanced yoga. Is an appreciation for the plant, to understanding your plant.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
I can appreciate that personally. As an individual myself, I am a PTSD individual. I am hyper focused, and I do have a lot of issues. And I do smoke almost purely indica, just very high CBD contents, and I smoke hemp as well to keep my CBD CBD ranges up. And so that's all sounding like awesome stuff. So we've already done a couple of sessions. I think I feel comfortable enough, and I'm just hypothetically talking now, right? I feel comfortable, so now I want to do a group thing. Now, do can I invite a group with me to do this with you? I mean, problems permitting, like, the COVID-19 being gone and we're allowed to hang out with people again.
Yeah. We totally could, right? I always say the more the merrier. And Ganja Yoga, you can never have too many. So yes, you can.
Interesting. Okay.
However, I will say a however.
I like this.
I do my best work alone. Here's why. I want to hold space for you and what you need in the moment. That's how you're going to heal.
Okay.
You're going to need something different that Zeno's going to need, than Adam's going to need. You're all going to need something different. And so we could all do Ganja Yoga and like do the stoner social and move our bodies and probably get a lot mentally from it.
Right.
But if we were going to heal and do some like serious trauma work, it's best one-on-one. But
Interesting.
Ganja Yoga, amazing. Like groups of people.
So you like to basically establish a good relationship with the patient and find out which strain works for them and basically help them through that so they actually can attend the group and not be anxious and know that these other people are going through the same thing.
Right. Absolutely. Like someone that maybe, I really want to do yoga. I want to do yoga. And this is inviting because maybe someone comes to me who's never done yoga before. Cool. Let's learn together, right?
Right.
Maybe someone comes to me that's never smoked pot before. Cool. Let's learn together. Without
like
feeling
a no judgment kind of situation.
A no judgment. And if you're coming from a trauma piece, the last thing you want is to go into a group of people.
Yes.
Like if
100%.
you have anxiety and you have social anxiety and you don't do groups, the last fucking place you want to be is in a group doing exercise.
That's right.
Yeah.
I don't
And
hang out with people.
do you want to get stoned before you go do it? Oh fuck no. Right? Because then I'm going to be totally out of my element.
A whole nother variable that I've got to
Yes. Yeah, because it actually takes over in a different way then it's really like it goes with the anxiety instead of helping the anxiety. It can go two ways, and that's the same with medications and everything like that. So
yeah, but you're able to put these together has such an amazing healing property. It's like individually, these are amazing modalities, but together.
No, finish. Sorry about that.
No, that was it. Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, exactly. So now, just to touch on that real quick. Now, do you only smoke, or is there like CBD infused, edibles? I mean, is it like lotions and salves and stuff like that you guys use too?
Any avenue that works for you works for me. So if you smoke, great. If you're a concentrate, super. If you're tincture, salves, lotions, I actually make Epsom salt. I do a 1-to-1 blend.
Oh.
And then make Epsom salt. Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
That is not pretty cool. That is like super.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm like, I believe
innovation.
That innovate, and it's you can put it in anything. You can make anything with it. I make my own coffee, infused coffee, right? So it's different. What I have in the morning is like maybe a different tincture at night.
Right. Interesting. And so do you find the product for your client? Do you advise them what to go buy and then you meet up with them in the safeties of their home or whatever it is? How does that process work once you guys come to, like, so if we were talking, right, and
Hmm.
I smoke dabs, I smoke blunts, I smoke whatever, right? So I want indica, we understand that.
Yep.
So how would we go across that next step? Would you say, okay, so I know a guy, or do you say there's a dispensary down the road, or how does your route work with that?
Right now, what I'm doing, because I just feel like it's just best, is let's talk about it, and then let's talk about your local dispensary. Let's look
Okay.
at that menu together. So you know exactly, like, because it'd be great to say, it'd be really good for you, Gorilla Glue. Well, that if you can't get your hands on that, right? If
What's the
that's not
point?
available to
Right.
you. So
Right.
meeting with that person and their local dispensary.
Okay. Interesting. I like that approach.
Me
I
too.
felt like that was a left hook question for you, and I had to ask because
Yeah, no,
you got to
totally,
know,
because
like, do
She came
I?
back with the knockout punch on
She
that one.
did. She had a counter on that. She was ready. I'm proud
She
of her. Good
counted,
job, Terry. Yeah, good
and
job.
you hit him
yeah,
right in the knockout center. You
So
know what I'm
right,
yeah,
saying?
no,
yeah,
you
that's
just
right.
totally, you just like, where's your dispensary? Cool, let's talk about it. All the menus
Well,
are
yeah,
online. Let's
like
talk about it online. And, you know, if someone said, hey, I think I know my friend grows it or whatever, perfect. But
It's a
let's
different
get into
story, yeah.
that. That's a different story, but let's get into that. Is it homegrown? Is it local? Is it pesticide free?
Hmm.
How is it grown? Is it grown with love, true love? Like, does this person care about their plant?
yeah.
Yeah.
Because that matters. Part of Ganja Yoga is giving a shit about your plant. That was huge for me when I got into Ganja Yoga, because I kind of came from this stoner,
Mm.
like a little bit of an
Right,
addict mentality.
right.
Um, and I needed to be able to learn about the plant and sit with the plant and not just smoke to smoke, but
Hmm.
what am I smoking?
And why,
Where was it
right?
grown? What does it have in it?
Yeah, I mean, we do
Interesting.
that when we go to the store and we pick out groceries or, oh, hey, with, you know, um, stuff like that. So why wouldn't we do that with our cannabis?
Right. And that we're consuming it. This is the natural plant. We're consuming it however we're consuming it. And I want to know that it's good in my body,
That's a
Hmm.
that
big
it's got
reason why I
nothing in it.
grow.
Me too.
It's because, like, I trust myself and who like what I produce. Not that I hit any record breaking numbers. I don't do terrible myself. You know what I mean? Like, but I definitely have way more love and appreciation for my own product that I harvest as opposed to, like, buying it off Johnny off the block. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, um,
Well, let me tell you, it gave me a new appreciation for Johnny off the block.
oh, I
Yeah.
Once,
agree. Yeah, no, I understand that.
you know what I mean? Like, once you're like, oh, wow. And as much as I would like to grow, I think it really is a big responsibility,
Oh,
It
it
is.
is.
It
right?
It
is.
It's a
is.
It's
big
a
It
serious.
takes.
responsibility.
I'm in my
It's
garden 6
serious.
times a day, and I'm not saying that you have to be. I'm not saying that every individual has to. Um, but I don't have children, so let's put it that way. You know what I mean? Like, those
Those
green
girls are
waves.
your,
Yeah,
yeah.
I have several different spaces. I don't know what you would want to call it, rooms, because I have
Mhm.
Mm.
males and females, and I breed. And I have different flavors going on at one time, and I have, like, and I give each and every one of them the time and care that they need so that they give me what the fuck I need.
Right.
So I definitely understand that, and I can appreciate where you're coming from when you're like, well, no, I appreciate Johnny on the block because he's
Mm.
helping me out.
Yeah, and it's a lot of work. But it's a lot of work because look at all the properties that it has. Look at all the benefits that it has.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. No, 100%.
So you're growing a baby because it's got lots of things.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, it's a living, breathing organism. So
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, you can say that, because I treat them like kids, So let me ask you, how did you get into the cannabis industry? Take us back. Who was one of your influences?
So actually, how it's really funny how I got into Ganja Yoga was like I said, I've only been smoking for about 7 years and doing yoga for a little bit less. And
Mhm.
I Googled one night, literally, I Googled, why, when I get stoned, do I love yoga? Why does Ganja help me with yoga?
Hmm.
And Ganja Yoga came up.
Let that be a lesson,
ND.
people. You should Google
Yeah,
more often.
yeah, right. There you go. And
He's very big on books, Google, and
It's
learning.
true. Read some fucking books, kids. Like, I don't know what the fuck's the matter with you. Educate yourself. For fuck's
Oh, they're
sake.
out there smoking Tide Pods. That's what.
God,
yeah.
like you can even read a book while you're doing that. I don't care. Like,
Exactly. I
do
mean,
what you
you
gotta
may only
do.
read a
But
couple of things before you start to go blind from the side effects of the Tide Pod, but
not my circus, not my monkey. You
Not
know what I
my
mean?
monkeys.
Like,
Not my monkeys.
absolutely.
So yeah,
you Googled it.
so I Googled it. It came up and I was absolutely amazed and knew I needed to get certified in it, that I needed to do it. But I wanted to bring it to my people, to that like area that I work in,
Right.
because we have enough shame.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
We have enough shame, and I wanted to bring this so it would be loud. I figured it would make enough of a bang to bring it into this community and stand long and tall and be like, no, this is medicine. Here, I'm a nurse. Listen to me. I'm a nurse and I'm in recovery. I'm telling you, please trust me on this. And now I've just wanted to learn as much as I can about it. Because I'm willing to fight for it.
Right. No, absolutely. And if you're
Yeah.
passionate about it, you're going to succeed in it, like 100%. So just so you know, like you keep on with the fight and you will most certainly. Sorry, I'm actually like speaking of books, I'm buying a book right now. Um, it's as passionate as you are is the only way to succeed. Like you see a goal, which is to help individuals, and you won't stop until that goal is succeeded. So I can appreciate that work that you do, because that's not something that I do. I
Now,
go into
what's the name of your business?
Meditation and motion too.
very cool.
Yeah.
And so when we book with you, do we book a certain amount of sessions in advance? How does that work?
No, we would sit down on our first meeting. We'd sit down and we just talk about like, what do you need? What are you looking for? What feels comfortable? Right? Because if I say, yep, we're gonna book 6 sessions, that can feel like a lot.
Right.
Especially if
Pressure.
you're already coming from a trauma scope, a trauma piece.
Right.
You to take that step out. But I want to use the ganja to entice people. Like, no, take a look at this. You're going to get benefits.
Right.
I want people to see the benefits of this. I don't want people to veer away from cannabis. I want people to understand that it has its place in PTSD, in recovery, in anxiety, depression.
All right. So Terry, I got a question for you. You're pretty new to the cannabis industry in the sense of like 7 years, right?
Mhm.
So how do you feel when you're in an industry that's been widely predominantly in the black market for longer than that, and you have individuals that are like myself, who have been in it for, let's say, 13 plus years. How do you feel about the gap there in between us and what you bring to the table and what I bring to the table? Do you feel like there's benefits to both? Do you feel like you can gain more coming from your side on a science side?
I think that it's collaboration, man. Right? Like you've got the 13 years, I've got the 7. So I see how far it's come in 7 years.
Right.
I mean, the fact that where I was 7 years and how I could tell people, or like I was pretty much a closet smoker, right? Like once I started
Yeah.
smoking, I was a closet smoker and definitely didn't tell people. And then when I did, it was like I was addressing more of a drug issue than I was a medicinal value.
Right, like you were throwing shade on your own words, right? Like,
Yeah, like rather than, yeah, I smoke pot.
right,
Like
no
I have
big deal.
cannabis. Yeah, it was like, okay, so if I tell you something, will you not tell anyone?
And why do we
Yeah.
have to do that?
I mean,
I feel
And-
like
I
it's
remember
such
back in the day when I used to spray myself down. You know what I mean? Now I don't even care. Now I'm just
No,
like,
now I'm
I
not
smoke
gonna
cannabis.
lie.
That's it.
I get off on that. I'm not gonna lie. I love to smell like it.
Mhm.
Not at work, because I understand that can be a slippery slope in
There's
my
a
field.
difference. Yeah.
right,
But
professionalism and all that.
Mhm.
right, absolutely. But to go into the mall, yeah, I kind of like it.
Yeah, there is
It's
no
fun.
better feeling for me than when I go
It
pick up
feels
my
a little
wife
liberating.
when she works at the grocery store, and I go to the grocery store and I reek. And I mean reek. And there's nothing that they can do about it because it has nothing to do with her. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, it's just me. And I love going in there because you get different looks from different people. You know what I mean? Like some of the
Exactly.
managements give you a look. They're
Some
like,
of them
they know
like,
what's up.
Yes.
yeah.
Oh,
You get some that give you that grimy look, and it's like, nah, I bought a house with what I do. Like, don't get all of me.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, don't worry about what I do.
and I don't shame when I smoke out. Like I'm appropriate when I smoke out in public, but I'm also like, I smoke out in public.
Mhm.
I am probably one of the most obnoxious smokers when it comes to smoking. I'm not gonna lie. I am the guy that is not afraid to roll a backwood in the middle of a park and just blitz up. I'm not sharing it with any kids. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, my wife is lucky if I give her some. I'm not gonna lie. So like, it's not, it's not an issue on sharing for me.
Yeah, and my son is in recovery and he smokes. So we're a fun house,
Absolutely.
or we're a fun house. It's been interesting to see what that has done in his recovery as well.
We'll lead into our next question. What does a grind look like on the daily? Like, take us through a regular day in your life.
A regular day for me actually is being a crisis nurse.
Cool. So
Yeah,
what is
Amazing.
that? So you
yeah.
wake up and you're helping individuals that are facing some sort of trauma or crisis. In today's day, right now, that is everywhere, right?
It's
Mhm.
everywhere. And what is trauma? Right? Like, so it's really any of us, all of us have had some level. So from a car accident to being in the military,
Right.
Mhm.
abusive relationships,
100%.
male or female.
100%.
Mhm.
I am a huge advocate for that.
Yeah, children are our children, with our addiction rate, our children are really seeing and having to go through some really tough things right now because mom and dad are active.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's so crazy. I never thought that it would come to that level. But the one thing that I really find very amazing about you is that you've been through what you're trying to help the person get through. So you can relate exactly what they're feeling. So you didn't just go and get a degree and you're doing it because you think it will help you get into the pearly gates. You know what I mean? You're doing it because you're passionate and you want to see people actually get through the trauma and live an everyday normal life.
Right.
That's exactly it. Like I'm bipolar, so I'm in mental health recovery. I'm in addiction recovery, right? My own. So I have found that smoking pot has kept me what we call baseline mentally.
Yeah.
So
Right.
healthy.
Or sane.
Sane. It's kept me,
I call it
Non-homicidal.
keeping the crazies away.
it's keeping me keeping on.
Yeah.
It keeps me keeping on. It takes
Helping
me
me be my
just
best.
enough out of my head. Just enough. And I was agoraphobic for several years, so I couldn't go out until I started smoking pot. Just so you know.
That's amazing.
It
Well,
was
you know
smoking
what?
pot that got me to be able to leave because it took me out of that space.
Right.
And I could leave. I could walk out. And that's
You
what I
know.
try to give to other people is like, no, really, as simple as this seems, especially being a nurse, people are expecting me to go, here's your Prozac, here's your Zoloft, here's your
Right.
Wellbutrin, here's your
Right.
methadone. Fuck your methadone. Smoke your pot. Do your dabs.
You
I
hear it
promise
first
you,
here,
that's all you
guys.
need.
A dab a
It's
day will keep
crazy
the
how.
doctor away. I don't
Yeah,
know.
no,
Yeah,
seriously.
that's a good one. That's a good one.
I
A dab replaces the apple now.
yeah, like who wants to eat an apple? I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, I've actually, when I was younger, we had to get creative. I smoked out of an apple, so I mean, that's
Many a
killing two
time.
birds with one stone right there.
No, in fact, I got kicked out of school one time for smoking out of an apple.
Even
And
better.
I don't
I
regret it at
smoked
all
one
because
time
look
in high
where I'm at.
school. One time in high school.
I can't tell you. I I have probably smoked more pot in most people's lives in my high school career.
Yeah.
And that's like I don't know, like a decade ago. So like I couldn't imagine what we're in now. I mean, like I go through jars like it's nobody's business.
That's me
Um,
now.
so
Yeah.
that brings me to a question about cannabis for you. And terpenes is a really big one for us. It's a word we love. What is your favorite terpene? Have you found one yet?
The limonene, the like
Citrusy.
citrusy, but I do, I think I take that back. Mine's a pine.
Okay,
It's
so
a
like
very
an alpha
piney.
pinene. Okay,
Yep.
see?
Mine's definitely, it took me a minute, but I like to smell like the outdoors. I want it to smell like the
Right.
outdoors.
I get that.
Fruity and like the outdoors.
I get that.
Now,
100%.
do you find that gives you a different effect on yourself personally than when you smoke, let's say, a strain that has a more earthy quality, like a more soil smelling?
I have to say that I go by depending on where I'm getting my cannabis. If I have an opportunity to smell it, that's how I decide what I'm getting. I will usually say, show me your indicas, and then I'll go and I'll smell them and go, this is what I want. And sometimes if I see a pretty flower, like literally if it just like catches my eye, I'll pick it up. And if the smell resonates with me, then I'll get it no matter what. but I'm a big believer that smelling it and your body will tell you whether it's going to work for you or not,
Oh,
which
100%.
is why I really dislike buying marijuana the way that sometimes we have to
Right. Deal with
do
Yes,
sometimes,
I
because
agree.
I want to smell it. I
I'll
want to
tell you
look
right
at it. I
now,
want to
with this
see.
whole COVID thing, I go to the dispensary every now and then when it's in the next town. So when I go in the next town and I make a trip out there, I stop by a shop. And one of my favorite things to do is to smell the cannabis and like see what's going on. I'm a breeder. I want to know what's new, who's creating
Yeah.
something. And we're not allowed to do that right now. We got to be 6 feet away from the counter. Like,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
gonna,
Yeah.
I'm gonna fold my money in a paper airplane and throw it across the
Yeah,
room
exactly.
so that I
Yeah.
can pay the guy right now. And it's just, it is the most depressing thing. So like, yeah, now I have to go off site, and it's hard. It's very, very hard to do.
And I really dislike that, because I want to be able to smell it. That will tell me what, if this is what my body, because I have a really hard time with sativas 75% of the time, unless my body tells me otherwise, unless my nose tells me otherwise.
Mm,
As silly as
hmm
that sounds, honestly,
No, it's not silly.
I
There is a difference, with sativa and indica, but I think there's going to be a lot more, within the next, couple 5-10 years, more research and just proving that it's not as black and white as up and down. You know what I mean?
they're
Because
going to
I've had,
find that we have so many more. I mean, and they've said, we know there's so much more that we're going to find out. This is just what we know, that we have the CB1 and CB2.
Right.
We imagine
Mhm.
there may be more.
There's tons, so much.
My blood type is THC at this point. I smoke
Exactly.
so
You and me
much,
both,
and I
friend.
am so
You
proud
and
of
me
it.
both.
I
And
mean,
now
like,
let me
I
ask
was
you
up
a
at 5
question.
a.m. in the garden.
I'm
I
actually smoking some bubble hash on the top of my bowl right now.
So proud of
Ooh.
you. A lost art. People forget about bubble hash.
Oh, I
Hmm.
know.
People,
I want to bring it back. I haven't had good
It's
hash in years.
which reminds me, if you guys read a book, you can read a book from French Cannoli or Frenchie, and he is
Oh
an
yeah, yeah.
amazing hash maker.
I want to
You
make
Mm.
ever read
cold
his
water
book?
hash. That's on my
Yeah, that's what he focuses
Yeah.
on. He's dialed.
that's on
Um,
my bucket list, to make
do
cold
it.
water hash.
Don't talk about it. Be about it.
I
And
know.
I
I'll
think
be back in Mass. And I can help you with that. But actually, I want to really learn how to do that. There's a few things that I want to now start to venture into, because I've basically spent my time
that's right.
learning how to grow and breeding.
Absolutely.
So.
And
Yeah.
we're all working on some things together. That's for sure. We're definitely going to get some
Hmm
projects going. Zeno's got a couple of my cultivars that he'll be taking a hold of and transforming into some beautiful things, I'm sure.
And vice
But
versa. I got some I'm going to be sending him, but I actually have one in particular that I think might be very helpful from how you're describing how you use ganja for your yoga and your
Yeah.
sessions for trauma. I actually have a strain in mind. It's called Freak OG that I really think you would find useful, and I think a lot of patients would find useful. My friend, just a quick story, my friend Mike, he has PTSD from the war. He did 2 tours, and I did a live video on Facebook, and I was showing him, I was telling people in the video that watch. So he's sitting there, he's catatonic because he's taking like 40 pills from the VA, and he takes 2 hits of the Freak OG, and all of a sudden, without realizing it, he's laughing. We're having a huge conversation. We're laughing like we're kids again. And then people started chiming in saying, "Wow, I just saw the difference in him." So it's really amazing when you can see it for yourself, and you see it, on a regular basis, and
Well, how many times have you felt like, yee, I'm just feeling it's a head changer. You can smoke, and I would say 2 tokes is medicinal, the rest is recreational,
Mhm.
right?
I
It
agree.
just takes 2 tokes, and it's like, what a difference that part of the brain makes.
Right.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And I think that concludes our session today. I think that was awesome. I appreciate you for coming on and educating our viewers with some awesome knowledge.
Can I add one little thing?
Please
Of
do.
course.
Okay. To add on to what you were just saying, we know that trauma yoga, doing this trauma yoga, that over time we heal the gray matter.
Mm.
That actually this can regrow your gray matter, right? How do we know that doing cannabis yoga, how do we know that there's not certain receptors or pieces in that frontal cortex? It's the frontal lobe
Right.
cortex that is especially where we're getting that gray matter for decision making and impulse control. So how do we know that adding cannabis isn't what are those two together? What's happening?
Mhm.
So I'll
Right.
be curious to see as science develops if we don't see changes happening in the frontal cortex when they say, wow, look at what cannabis is doing. So now
Oh, I'm
we're adding,
stoked.
right? Now we're adding cannabis to a trauma yoga.
Mm.
I'm a firm believer
That's
that I'm gonna be in the
amazing.
forefront of it. I'm a breeder that has had a couple of cultivars tested at like high CBD contents and low THC contents, and I have rebred those and made those mine. Um, and I feel like the more we support it and the more people get into it, the better we're all gonna get. Like not
Mhm.
just at creating the plant, but like as an individual, the better I will be, and the better you guys will be as well.
And
Yeah,
acceptance.
and I believe with people like you who are working with people who are in need and who otherwise would just get a whole bunch of pills and then, here, take this for this, take this for this. You take the time, listen to them, and just actually hear them out as an actual person, and not just a dollar sign.
Right.
Right, right.
So thank you very much for coming on. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you
Um,
guys so much for having me. Thank you.
Absolutely. And we look forward to hearing more about you. Please do us a favor and one more time, what's the name of your company?
Meditation in motion too.
All right. And
you
you
heard it.
guys
Yeah,
see that right
yeah.
there across. We'll have a link
Mm-hmm.
for you guys.
Link
Definitely check it
below.
out and give her a follow. All
All
right.
right.
And
Thank you for tuning in to our podcast. Stay tuned for our next podcast.